What's up, guys? UFC 253 Boom Breakdown here. We got Twitter questions. We got Israel Adesanya versus Paulo Costa. I'll talk about that. I'll talk about Dominic Reyes versus Jan Blachowicz. Then I'll kind of just make some quick picks moving down the card. Maybe I'll put in a little bit of a wager there for you guys, who I'm looking to bet on. I have a couple parlays, but I also feel like there's a couple of straight bets that are pretty big locks. I'm gonna start different. Usually, I start with the fights. I'm gonna start with the Twitter questions because it looks like we had a lot here. So, um, we'll get going on the Twitter questions first. A lot of you guys got on the Twitter and left some stuff here. I appreciate the content and the interactions here. So, helps me out here. Flavio Arellana, Prince Flav on Twitter. Who do you favor in the matchup between Brandon Royval versus Kai Kara France? I lean a little bit towards Kai Kara France, I think, just based off of experience in the UFC, and he's got more of a calculated striking style, not an easy guy to take down. Brandon Royval is more of a wild style, all over the place type of guy, not a traditional striker. If it goes to the ground, he's very explosive, and he's like a scrambler. I've trained with him in Colorado. He's very hard to hold down. He's very agile. He moves around a lot. He's scrambly, like I said. And then you got a guy in Kai Kara France who's well trained at City Kickboxing. His Muay Thai or his kickboxing is very good. He's very technical. He's very patient on the feet. He doesn't really take too many risks, but also doesn't leave too many openings as well. I haven't seen a lot of Kai Kara France's wrestling and jiu-jitsu, but I also don't think he's an easy guy to take down. I think guys have tried to take him down before. But Brandon Royval is a scrappy guy who is, got a lot of momentum right now. He quit his job. He got into the UFC, got a bonus, I think, in his first win, right? He beat Tim Elliott. So, that's no easy task. Tim Elliott's a former title challenger, so that shows a lot for Brandon Royval. And I like the kid. He's a good kid, and he trains out of a good gym in Factory X over there in Colorado. And I think we're going to see big things from him. I just think Kai Kara France is not the best matchup for him. I think the fight will go to the decision. I just think Kai Kara France will kind of take over on the feet and outstrike him. We got the Boomachino, by the way. Look at my guy here, my hero. Shout out to Michael Lair. It's a savage. Next question. You think speed will play a big factor in Izzy versus Costa? This is by at Joey Kicks 49. 100%. I mean, speed kills. Speed is a big thing in UFC fights. This is a game of inches. In the UFC, one little move wrong, one little move left, right, forward, back can be the difference between a knockout or between a guy just missing and a counter strike landing. So as far as Izzy goes, being a counter striker, he's gonna try to draw Paulo Costa in, which is Paulo Costa's game. He wants to get in close and throw heavy bombs and take your head off. So I feel like Izzy's gonna want to bring him to that black line, the outer line of the cage, and try to kind of slip something big and counter back with like a big counter shot. So, of course, speed is gonna be a huge factor. Although Costa's huge and he's a big stocky guy, but he's not a slow guy either. I think he has pretty good speed for what he looks like as well, and he definitely packs more power. Excuse me, but I think precision and speed is going to be a huge factor in this fight. Um, at Periculamin, Periculamin, I don't know how to say that. Periculamin Mora. How do you think Adesanya's BJJ would fare against Costa's since the Brazilian is a black belt? Well, let's not forget, Costa's a black belt. Well, we don't really see him wrestle. We don't really see his fights go to the ground and see his jiu-jitsu utilized that much. So, we don't really know how good he is MMA style off his back. I always say this, being a BJJ black belt is great. That means obviously you're very well-rounded in jiu-jitsu. You know the game. But in MMA, black belts lose all the time, you know. it's different when you incorporate striking and you incorporate the panic of and the intensity of an actual fight with elbows being thrown at you and strikes being thrown at you. How tired are you? Are you worried about ground and pound? Are you looking for leg locks and you're putting yourself in trouble? Are you trying to just get up, get back to your feet because you can't lose points being on your back and submissions are not working at that time and you have to get back up to your feet because the clock is ticking against you. So there's a lot of factors with that, but I think I honestly think Izzy's jiu-jitsu is underrated. He's a headhunter. If a choke is there, he goes for it. And I think he's one of those guys that has that finishing instinct. And I actually could see a scenario where maybe someone gets hit and hurt and there's a knockdown and it ends up in a scramble and Israel's going for a choke for somehow. But I think that's not very low probability. I think the fight will take place on the feet, but if it does go to the ground, I don't think either guy will catch a submission. I think obviously Paulo Costa's got a black belt in jiu-jitsu and Israel's a blue belt in jiu-jitsu, but that doesn't really say much in MMA. Sometimes the lower belt guy wins the fight because he has that one move that he looks for that he's a finisher with, and Israel's a headhunter. He goes for that rear naked guillotine. He goes for those Darce chokes. He has the long arms. So you just never know, man. In MMA, I don't really think jiu-jitsu will play much of a factor in this fight, though. To be honest. Mr. Moose, when are you gonna drop your first rap album? Hey, I don't know, man. I'm focused on the fights, but we gotta definitely put some more music out there and drop something by the end of the year. Probably next year we'll finish something, but I kind of took a break with that. I mean, I have like 13 songs finished, but you don't want to put out half-ass shit. When it comes to rap, hip hop, there's so much competition out there these days. You want to put the best stuff out there. Um, at Parzival_3, will someone at 205 get and hold the belt for a while, or will it change hands often, like we see when a long-standing champion loses or leaves? I don't see someone reigning on top at 205 for a long time like John Jones did. John Jones just went to heavyweight. I think the belt is going to change hands. You got guys like Reyes and Jan Blachowicz fighting now. I think Rumble Johnson's coming back at 205. So that's a guy that can very well come in and take the belt. Obviously, the division is kind of trying to figure itself out right now. Corey Anderson left to Bellator, so that's a big high level guy that's in the top that left. Um, you know, you got guys coming up, but right now I think Reyes has shown to be probably the second best light heavyweight next to John Jones. We got to see what Santos does. He had a great fight against John Jones. I think that's another guy that can come in and take the belt. Um, you got Yuri Prochazka. That guy's a crazy prospect coming up. There's a lot of different guys right now at light heavyweight that I feel like could become title holders. I don't see a guy like Reyes or Jan Blachowicz, running away with the title and defending it like 5 to 10 times. I see it changing hands, so we'll see. But I do see Reyes being a guy that could definitely win this fight and be, maybe defend it a couple times. At Fahad Madrid, do you think Costa should take the fight to the ground? I think it'd be a good option. If he has good offensive wrestling and he can get a hold of Israel and get him on his back and take him down and pass guard, why not? We don't see Israel on his back ever. And I think if one thing we could say about Israel is that his takedown defense has improved leaps and bounds every fight in the UFC. So probably not going to be an easy task. He's an athletic guy. But if Costa could do that, man, I think that would be smart. It would throw Israel off. I don't think anybody really expects that to happen. But it would really throw a wrench in this fight, and it would make things really interesting. I'd like to see it, to be honest. I mean, this is mixed martial arts. Don't just go in there and throw bombs. Like, let's see how you mix up wrestling, takedowns, ground and pound, all that stuff, jiu-jitsu, everything. Um, at Liam Flynn, what fight will be finished faster, the co-main or the main? You know what? I'm gonna go with the co-main, because Reyes and Yan both pack a lot of power. Um, both guys are finishers. I don't know. It's hard. Even both of those guys, they're both really hard to finish, though. But Israel and Paulo Costa, I mean, with the Israel fight with Calvin Gastelum, that war, Israel survived that, got to the fifth round. Paulo Costa, Yoel Romero, I mean, this. These guys both have chins. And I feel as if Paulo Costa is going to come in a little bit slower paced in this fight, knowing that it's 5 rounds. He's never been 5 rounds before. It's a huge factor. It's probably something that plays in his mind. You can't just go in and throw balls to the wall first round when it's a 5 round fight and you've never fought 5 rounds, and you pack a lot of muscle, which needs oxygen to pump through there. So I can see that fight slowing down a little bit and getting further on into the fourth round, maybe third, fourth round, where a finish happens. Whereas in Reyes Yan fight, I could see it ending in the first or second round. At Hariso 29143443. What's with all the numbers, dog? Do you think you'll move weight classes for easier fights? Well, first off, there are no easier fights. Moving up to 145 for me would be difficult as far as size and range goes, and probably be even a harder weight class to compete in, unless I was fed like the worst guys in the division and the best stylistic matchups. But no, I don't plan to move weight classes like that as of right now. Possibly at the very end of my career, I might finish it at 145. We'll see. I think I'm starting to get a hold of my weight. I'm trying to keep it in the lower 150s if possible. Right now I'm like 155. I'd like to be about 152 4 weeks out from a bantamweight fight. So we're trying to hang around there. Um, Ooh, a good question. At Daniel Cake. When the UFC gonna get you a spot on the commentary or the post show? You're really good. Thank you. I appreciate that. Man, I told my manager to pitch it to the ESPN desk. I want to get on there as an analyst, or you know, break down the fights or do a post fight show. I think that'd be awesome for me. I think I would do really well. I've liked Michael Chiesa, Angela Hill. They've done a good job. Anthony Smith. All these guys done a great job. I'd love to get my chance at that and get on the desk for sure. At Chael underscore uncle, with the age that he is, if the way that Diego fights, if he loses, how much longer should he continue to fight? I don't know, man. He's one of those mainstays in the UFC. He kind of is like a Donald Cerrone, where like they're never gonna get rid of the guy. He's a legend. He's always been there to fight whoever. He's had very exciting fights in the past, and right now there's a weird things going on in his style, but he does seem calm this week. I'm interested to see how that plays into the fight. But he's fighting you know, young prospects, and he's not fighting older legends like himself, which I think he should. He should be fighting like a Donald Cerrone. That would make more sense right now than fighting a Jake Matthews, who's coming up, a strong, young, athletic guy that packs a lot of power. They're throwing Diego to the wolves, man. I don't know what's the deal with these matchups, but I feel like maybe they're almost trying to just get him whatever fights and just get it finish up his contract. Um, so that's that. So now let's talk a little bit about Israel versus Paulo Costa. I find this fight interesting because of the fact that there's bad blood. Israel is such a good counter striker, and he's shown heart, and in that Kelvin Gastelum fight, which I mentioned before, just being able to go 5 rounds and take that damage and still win the fight and get a finish late. was amazing. Paulo Costa, his best performance was probably against Yoel Romero, which Israel fought him too, and it was a complete different fight. But both of these guys have chins. They both have finishing ability, and they're both undefeated. So anytime two undefeated fighters go at it, I get really excited. You want to see who's gonna lose that O, and it's hard to pick this fight, man. I could see it going two different ways. I could see Israel kind of being that laser pinpoint accurate striker, counter striking, and Paulo Costa trying to take his head off back against the cage, but he can't quite touch him where he needs, and Israel tires Paulo Costa out a little bit and starts to chew him up and landing leg kicks and slowing him down, and maybe lands a front snap kicks to the body to keep him away, and then he lands something up high, maybe a same side head kick or something like that, where he rocks Costa and finishes him off. I could see Costa maybe catching Israel and landing some kind of big power shot, and we see Israel kind of stumble because he hasn't felt that kind of power before. It's going to be a crazy wild fight, man. I'm excited to see. I hope it doesn't get slowed down too much, because I do think that Paulo Costa is going to come in with a little bit more of a game plan of not just barraging him and moving forward recklessly. I think he's going to be a little bit more calculated, especially round one and round two. Then he might start to open up and loosen up. But I lean towards Israel in the fight. I do think his counter striking is going to be the big factor. I think his speed and his length, his accuracy, all those things are going to play a role. He's going to avoid that big shot, and he's going to start to pepper Paulo Costa and slow him down. I think he's going to utilize leg kicks early on to kind of slow down Paulo's movement. Those straight snap kicks up the middle are going to be huge. I wonder if he's going to utilize those a lot as well. He likes to mix those up to the body, to the head. He'll probably start to stomp on that knee kick like John Jones style. I think all those tactics are going to keep Paulo Costa off of him. I think that's going to be his main game plan. And it's going to pay dividends later on in the rounds when Costa slows down and Israel kind of has that vision and that accuracy and that speed, and it's going to take over. And I think he's going to get a TKO finish late, probably round 4. With Jan Blachowicz, Reyes, I kind of touched on it earlier. Both of these guys, kind of a harder fight to see, like what's going to happen. Reyes has that beautiful straight left hand, but Jan has that weird power too, where he's got power moving backwards, but so does Reyes. They both have a lot of power moving backwards. It's gonna be interesting. Who's gonna move forward in this fight? That's what I'm curious about. Is grappling gonna become part of this fight? We've seen Jan has nasty Kimuras. He has good submissions on the ground, but I don't think Reyes would really try to take this fight to the ground. So I don't know if Jan will try to take this fight to the ground either. I feel like this fight will primarily take place on the feet as well. And I just think Reyes is the more athletic guy. I think he's just a little bit better with his movement. I think Jan's a little bit more flat-footed, but they both have so much power that you just don't know what's going to happen in this fight. But to me, I see athleticism being a huge factor, and I think Reyes is that guy, and I just think he's going to land the left hand. I could just see it. I just feel like his kicks, his heavy kicks, and his left hand is going to be a big factor in this fight. So I'm going with Reyes. I think he's going to win the belt. I think he might get that TKO finish. If not, if it goes to decision, he's been 5 rounds with John Jones, and you can't say much better than that, for experience. So I got to go with Reyes. Whether it does go decision or not, he's going to get it done. And then moving down on the card, we'll make some quick picks, because I got to get to practice. I got to get to training, but we got some mitt work, going golfing today, and then I got jiu-jitsu later tonight. Staying busy, baby, staying busy. Kai Kara-France, Brandon Royval. I'm going Kai Kara-France, decision. Caitlin Vieira, Cesaro Eubanks. I'm going to go with Caitlin Vieira by either a TKO or a decision. Hakeem Dawodu, Zabara Tukhugov. I'm going to go with Zubaira Tukhugov by decision, although he missed weight by 4 pounds. I don't know what was up with that, but that's a lot of weight, so maybe he didn't get as good a training as you would like, but those Russians are killers, so I got to go with the Russian. Brad Riddell, huge fan of this guy's style. Love watching this guy fight. He's fighting Alex De Silva Coelho. I don't know much about this guy, but I always bet Brad Riddell because this guy's a savage, and he's got some great kickboxing coming out of City Kickboxing as well. All those guys are training together for this fight card, so that kind of momentum, that kind of team morale sometimes plays a role in these fights. So I'm going Brad Riddell by knockout. Diego Sanchez, Jake Matthews. I would most likely say Jake Matthews is a lock in this fight. Unless Diego runs around, he's hard to find. I'm going to go with Jake Matthews by TKO or decision, just by overpowering him, landing the harder shots. Shane Young, Ludovic Klein. I'm going with Shane Young by decision. William Knight, Alexa Kamura. I'm going with Alexa Kamura by TKO stoppage. I think experience is going to be a huge factor. He trains with Stipe Miocic. That's huge for him, so... Juan Espino, Jeff Hughes. I will go with Juan Espino by TKO. These are heavyweights. And Kadis Abragimov by Danilo Marquez. I will go with Marquez by TKO. So that's the fights right there. As far as bets go, I think Juan Espino. I don't know the odds. I can't see the odds here, but I think Espino is a good guy to look for. Maybe inside the distance on the William Knight Kimura fight. Both of those guys are very explosive. I would look to bet the inside the distance on that one. Jake Matthews, if you want to parlay him with someone like an Israel Adesanya or a Dominic Reyes, I think that's a good parlay right there. Or even a Kai Kara France. Big favorites. I like to parlay the favorites. Even maybe a Caitlin Vieira straight bet would be good. I think she's got better experience and definitely more finishing ability than Cesaro. And Cesaro just came off a fight like a week ago, so you never know how that plays out. But yeah, those would be my betting perspectives for those fights. I did have a parlay with other sports with Israel Adesanya and I believe Dominic Reyes. So I believe those two will come out victorious at the co-main in the main event. So we'll see what happens. I can't wait to see this card. Fight Island, baby. And I'm looking to get back in there early November as soon as they come back to Vegas. So stay tuned for that. Thank you for the questions on Twitter. Thank you for tuning in. A thumbs up really helps on the video. If you could share it, subscribe to the channel. We need more followers. 680. What the fuck is happening, cocksuckers? Boom. Love you.